In 2004, Americans spent $34 billion on their pets. Last year in 2023, they spent $150 billion on their pets. It's like $3 billion a year just for pet supplements, and it's projected to double in the next 10 years. So you could just be a supplement bro, slanging supplements, using the distribution of existing businesses on Shopify that just haven't thought about growing their business other ways.
And just say, hey, just put my product on your website. That's it.
Super easy. Yeah, why would you not do that?
Someone do this. I promise it will sell. 3 days ago, I'm sitting around right here at my desk and I'm thinking, why can't I buy beef jerky that imitates the exact taste of authentic Texas barbecue? And what I mean by that is authentic Texas barbecue is a few things. It's an offset smoker. None of that pellet grill crap.
Ugh.
You got post oak logs with a specific moisture content of about 14%. You're cooking at about 250 degrees. It's got to be brisket, lightly trimmed, 50 to 50 salt to pepper ratio on the rub. That's it. You wrap it at 165 degrees. You pull it at 205 degrees. You let it sit for an hour. You slice it. Okay. That's Texas brisket. End of story. Why can't I buy that in a jerky version? Why can't I? It doesn't exist. All right. If you want to go eat jerky that has a smoky flavor to it, they're going to use liquid smoke, which is fake smoke. It's not real. It's an imitator. It's a copycat.
It's like vape jerky? Ew.
Vape smoke, basically. Now, they've got peppered beef jerky. But I'm not talking about a beef jerky that tastes very different. I'm talking about a beef jerky that's branded differently. An ultra premium, brisket in your car beef jerky.
Okay.
So I was curious about this. Just so happens, I love excuses to go smoke some meats, right? Oh, twist my arm. Oh, no. I got to go smoke some meats and play with fire all day. Oh, no.
Oh,
I
big
guess.
pieces of meat, a grill, and the outside cold weather. Oh, twist my arm.
So that day, coincidentally, my wife was picking up the 2 deer that I shot last month, and she was going to Costco.
Okay. 2 deer from the butcher?
Yeah. From the processor.
I call it venison, but yeah, I get it.
Oh, really? Huh.
Yeah,
Do you shoot venison? Have you ever shot venison?
No, you shoot deer, you idiot. I would never say I shot a venison. The meat is called venison. Get it together, dude.
Even when you call me an idiot in a joking tone, it still hurts my feelings. I want you to know that. This is critical feedback for you.
All right, so she goes to the butcher, picks up the meat, and goes to Costco.
Picks up the meat, goes to Costco. I say, get me a brisket. Okay. So she comes home with a bunch of meat. And this was like an hour after I had the idea. Okay. You throw the brisket in the freezer because it has to be pretty stiff when you slice it. Hold your jokes. So I slice it up and I 50-50. I put half of it in like your standard jerky marinade and the other half 50-50 salt and pepper, just like a brisket would be. Put it out on the smoker, put some post oak logs in there, light it, get back to work, check on it every hour. By the end of the day, I've got jerky. So the question is, how did it taste?
How did it taste?
Do you think? It was fine. It was kind of mid. It just tastes like beef jerky that, it's like we talk a lot of crap about food companies that put all this crap in our food, but that kind of makes it taste really good.
Very good.
Is a peanut M&M or a Reese's Pieces going to taste any different in 50 years? No.
Hopefully
it might
not.
have different ingredients, but it's going to taste the exact same because you just can't screw that up, right?
Well, no. Like, we know people put things into our food to make them taste better. Perfect example. Everyone will resonate with this. Chris, do you like Coke?
It's literally the first thing I drank this morning.
Okay.
It's full sugar Coke.
I love Coke. I freaking love Coke. Is there a difference between McDonald's Coke and Coke you buy at the store?
Is there a difference between men and women? Like, are you kidding me right now? Dude, what are you talking about?
Absolutely. McDonald's does something to their Coke. It tastes so much better than regular Coke. So yes, I believe you that your smoked jerky was mid because you probably didn't add all the preservatives and other flavors that people do.
Yeah. Side note, tangent. Did you know why McDonald's Coke is so much better?
I'm guessing because they add more syrup.
No, I don't think so. But they have this big expensive filtration system where they filter the water before they add it to the syrup. And they make their straws bigger because there's something about the science of drinking through a wider straw, like activates more taste buds. Those are like the two main things, but there's actually like 6 to 10 different things that they do to make it taste better. It's very intentional on their part.
Again, this is two Mormons talking about alcohol, but I know that when you're drinking wine, you're supposed to aerate it or something. I don't know, but it changes the taste in it. Edit this out, Muhammad. But I believe it. I believe that filtering the water and whatever, creating more surface area of what you're drinking makes it taste better. All right, keep going.
Anyway, there's got to be a business there, right? Like, yeah, it tastes mid, first round, one try. I'm not going to chase it. I wanted a reason to chase it. But more broadly speaking, the business model of just taking a commodity, let's call it a food product that everyone's already buying, pricing it higher, and just framing it in a different way, right? Like you can make jerky out of chicken, right? So it could be like a buffalo wing jerky that tastes just like a buffalo wing, but in a bag, in a car, unrefrigerated.
Or you could do like Liquid Death. You're selling water in a can, but you called it Liquid Death and threw some cool marketing on it. You could have jerky and just call it Jerky Boys. You know what I mean? Or like some creative name that makes it sell. I agree with you. Okay. You're talking about the idea of taking something boring that everybody knows and slapping some marketing on it.
Yes, and I am saying this is a public call to action. Someone do this. Like, someone make authentic Texas brisket in a bag in a jerky form. I promise it will sell. Like, you can make it taste better than mine, but it would sell. There's a free idea for you.
Great idea. Great idea.
One more food idea real quick. We're just going to lump in the food ideas together.
Post-Thanksgiving, you got a lot of food ideas. I get it.
A lot of food ideas. So I got a pizza oven. I've had a pizza oven for years. I got a different one, propane powered, called Gosney. I cooked in it last night. It's really fun. It's delicious. I'm a pizza snob. You got to cook it at 900 degrees. You got to use authentic mozzarella. You got to use San Marzano tomatoes. You can't put too much crap on it. This pizza cooks in 60 seconds. Okay. Anyway, I thought it would be so cool. We have a farmer's market here where we live. And I thought it'd be so cool to bring the pizza oven, because it's industrial grade. You could cook on that thing all day if you wanted. And you can crank them out every 60 seconds if you have someone preparing the pizzas. This is a $15 product. The cost, what I paid for these Amazon and Costco ingredients, is like $1.80 per pizza. It's like a 80 to 90% gross margin business. Roll up at a farmer's market, set it up. You got one person making pizzas and accepting payments. You got another person cooking the pizzas. You got one option, margarita, one size, one option. Keep it simple, no drinks, nothing. Because we're having a farmer's market this weekend for Christmas, and there's not like any food vendors. I was this close to signing up to be a food vendor, just to literally take my pizza oven down the road and start slinging pizzas. But then I learned you got to have a food handler's permit. So
too hard.
What do we think? Can someone do that?
I just want to say first, I really love, have you ever had it? So it's like, first you take a hot dog and you wrap it in a pizza and then you stuff it with some Jack cheese. And you got cheesy blasters. 30 Rock reference there. So I hate food businesses. I just hate them because they might make sense individually, but like the ability to scale them freaking sucks. However, if you're going to do it, you do the in and out model, which is like, these are the options. We're not like, this isn't build your own. This isn't Blaze where you're coming in and building your own pizza. It's like one type of pizza, take it or leave it. Then that helps you scale, I think pretty quickly. So I like it. I think it's a good way for someone to like test entrepreneurship, like take their pizza oven, sell it at a local farmer's market. But I just think you hit a scalability ceiling. So I had somebody on my podcast and he makes hot sauce. And he was on, you've seen the YouTube series Hot Wings?
Yep. Hot ones where they're like doing interviews and they're eating and it gets progressively hotter. So like his hot sauce was on hot sauce. Hot ones.
Dirt. This is on Hot Ones. Lucky Dog hot sauce is the name of it. And this is how he sells. So everything's sourced locally, like literally within a 60-mile radius, everything except for the glass bottle, which he's like, I have to import that from China because I can't not. And he goes to local farmers markets and that's where he sells them. But he has a scalability problem because it's just him. He's like at $300,000 a year. It's a really good product. It's won a bunch of awards. But he's like, I don't know
now
how to scale it. Right. Yeah, exactly. So I think you could do that. I think you could like do the farmers markets to test the idea, but then you have to have the thought of like, all right, am I cool with just a $200,000 to $300,000 a year revenue business that I make personally, maybe $100,000, and I just essentially created a job for myself, or is there something I can do to scale this?
Let me zoom out. 2 frameworks for you. Totally agree. 100%. 100%. Very hard to scale. Number one, I'm speaking to the guy that's just a capitalist at heart, right? The guy that just wants to turn $1 into two. Like that, I don't care how wealthy I ever get. I'm always going to want to go do that. The hustle. I'm just speaking to the hustler out there. Okay. It's just fun. Number two, we're overlooking farmers markets. Why aren't we talking about farmers markets? How many different selling venues can you get immediate direct feedback face to face from the person consuming your product? It doesn't happen. You could take that feedback and scale the feedback, scale your product globally or nationwide based on the feedback that you get face to face. You don't have to only scale through farmers markets, right? So let's say some people are short on ideas. Maybe that's why they're listening. You spend a Saturday, go to 4 different farmers markets, and you just take note. Where's everyone lining up? Oh, wow. Interesting. Huh. Okay. Wow. Everyone's lining up at the pizza place, but this other farmers market doesn't have a pizza place, but it's a half hour away. Surely these people want pizza just as much as these people. You're not going to find a pizza place at every farmer's market. You could find out where the supply and demand imbalances are just by farmer's market hopping, and then go learn how to make pizza and selling it at a farmer's market. All right. If you are watching this clip right now, you are watching this on YouTube. And if you are a fan of podcasts, please check out my podcast while you're at it, because sometimes I have podcasts that aren't on YouTube and sometimes I have YouTubes that aren't on podcasts. So check out the Koerner Office on any podcast platform, or you can go to tkopod.com. Also, my newsletter, we'll throw that in there. There are no ads. It's weekly. It's different content than my podcast and YouTube. Newsletter.chrisjkoerner.com. You'll see the link, and we'll see you there.
That's an interesting framework in and of itself. Go to the farmers markets, see which products have long lines, like which ones are really popular. The ones that are made to order, maybe you don't focus on. Maybe you just focus on the ones that are packaged goods, and you're like, hey, do you sell online? I can help you set up a Shopify store, or I can help you with your e-commerce, or if you have a marketing agency, you can help them with their marketing or paid ads, or like that might be a really cool place to go and get customers, or to find businesses to support and grow and scale. I like that idea. That's a really cool.
There should be like an Etsy for farmers markets, where you can go, like an online website where farmers markets could list their wares. It's a marketplace, and anyone worldwide could buy something from someone that primarily sells through a farmers market. They can have their own Shopify store. That's fine. It's not like they're only selling through farmers markets, but just an online farmers market.
Would it be like the online version or the Etsy version of Goldbelly?
It's a good way of putting it.
Because well, Goldbelly is more like,
it doesn't have to be food, right?
Yeah.
Because like at our farmers market, food is maybe half of the stuff. One guy sells handmade cutting boards or all kinds of handmade jewelry and trinkets and whatnot. So it's, as everything is mass produced, the pendulum's swinging towards, local, one-on-one, bespoke, custom, etc.
It would be hard to do, but if you could create, like you're saying, that platform, and then you can start in real time identifying like, oh, these are the products that are taking off in the local markets, and then go to them and say, hey, we have this e-commerce store. Let's have an affiliate relationship. That would be really interesting. You
could start by taking the McKinney farmers market and putting it online, right? And just going all in on the McKinney farmers market, leaving the brand broad enough to expand, and then maybe add a second at some time, or a third.
I don't know the answer to this. Who owns the farmers market? Is it the city who puts it on?
Sometimes. In our case, it is, but sometimes it's private landowner, and they charge $100 to $300 for a 10 by 10 spot.
Because that could be something, is you go to private landowners and you're like, let them rent your land. I'll do all the admin. And then you collect all of the vendors information, and you tell them, I'm going to list this. This is now the McKinney's farmers market. And this will allow you to sell product online as well as market when the next farmers market is going to be. So you're like building in a distribution e-commerce store as well as a marketing tool for the farmers market itself. That would be interesting. You're setting up local marketplaces is what you're doing.
Yeah, that's a whole other idea. That like in Fulshire, Texas, when we lived there was a farmer's market just off the side of the road, maybe on 3 acres. You don't need power. You don't need gravel. You don't need a parking lot. You need a grassy field. And provided it's not wet or muddy, you could set up. And if the vendors need power, they bring a generator, right? So you really don't need anything. You need a grassy field and some hopefully drive-by traffic. And a lot of times these landowners are just sitting on the land waiting for it to appreciate. They're not trying to build a Taco Bell there. They're just holding it. So might as well generate some revenue.
I like that. That's a really cool idea.
One more thing.
Right. Oh, jeez.
Just about farmers markets. No, it's the same thing.
All right.
Same thing is, if you are interested in farmers markets, look at your state and their laws about selling food, because in Texas, they have what's called a Texas cottage law, which means if you sell baked goods or things that don't need to be refrigerated, you don't need any food license. You don't need any licensing whatsoever. You can make baked goods in your kitchen and you can sell it to the public. But in Texas, the differentiator is the refrigeration. If your product has to be refrigerated, they basically treat you like a restaurant. That's why I couldn't do pizza, right? So look to see in your state if there's a Texas cottage law variation, and that can determine what
the
you
Lucky
can
Dog
and can't do.
Hot Sauce guy, I mean, he's in California, and they're very stringent with their regulations on what they sell, even at farmers markets. So yeah, you're right. Definitely different for each state. All right, I had a guy on my podcast last week, Nikonomics, and he sells pet supplements. So I'm going to give you an overview of his business. Did you know pets have leaky gut?
Oh, I'm not doing this. I'm opting out of this segment.
Why?
No, I'm just kidding. It's just like, of course they have leaky gut, and they suffer from depression too, don't they? So we should pay to fix that.
All right. Let me give you some stats. In 2004, Americans spent $34 billion on their pets. Last year in 2023, they spent $150 billion on their pets. That's a massive increase. And it's not just because people care more about their pets. Listen to this. In 2004, 66 million households owned a pet. Today, it's about 87 million. A massive jump in the number of people that own pets, and a massive jump in the willingness of people to spend on their pets. So we know that there's a big industry and market for pets. All right. So his in particular, he started out where he wanted to just sell supplements. And then in the process of doing his research, he found someone who had a protocol for fixing leaky gut, and he combined the two. Anyways, they have leaky gut, and leaky gut just essentially means that exactly what it sounds. You're not holding in the nutrients and you're making yourself sick. So he has this protocol. Essentially what they do is they do three things. They get the dog on new food. They detox the yeast in their stomach using some oil that he has. And then they reintroduce and repopulate the gut with healthy bacteria. And it's a 3-month regimen. And after the 3 months, there's a maintenance thing that he has. He has about 300 to 400 active customers. Their current monthly revenue is $15,000 a month, but they've got like 50% margins. So like they're making decent money, but he's sold over 5,000 customers. So he has like a significant amount of churn. And
is this the guy that heard our segment about dog electrolytes that we were emailing with? Okay. Very cool.
Yeah. It was a really, really cool conversation. And his current channels for acquisition are Facebook ads, a TikTok account that he runs that has 2,000 subscribers, and a list of 70,000 French bulldog owners that he bought from somebody. Like that's how he currently gets customers.
Okay.
Which I thought was interesting.
A list of 70,000 French bulldogs.
Not their owners.
Salesforce.
Just the bulldogs.
Just the bulldogs.
Man, there are a lot of Fidos. Did you know people name their dog Fido a lot? Anyways, so that's his business, and it's recurring revenue. It's mail order. He sends this stuff to them, and I'm like talking to him, and I'm just thinking, dude, there's so many cool opportunities I think people could do. So number one, I really liked what he did with the French bulldog owner list, and so I kind of want to work my way back from a distribution model into ideas. And so I think what I would do first is I would go and look at how many small pet related businesses there are in the US. And where I would go is like, the site, we've talked about the site Built With. I would go and just try and find companies that sort of fit maybe less than $5 million a year in revenue criteria, and just see what kind of offerings they have. Generally speaking, what do they do? Do they offer food? Do they offer insurance? Do they offer supplements? Like what accessories? What is it? And then I would I wrote myself like 5-6 categories. I would pick from one of these product categories: pet food and treats, which there's a big push into natural foods right now, pet insurance, pet supplies, pet grooming, pet accessories, and then pet technology, trackers in particular. And they do now have technology that like tracks their vitals, which is nuts. I would pick one of those categories. I really like supplements. I think supplements is a really cool category. And then I would start reaching out cold to some of these businesses and say, hey, I want to piggyback off of your list. You've got a lot of customers that you've sold to, and I think they could really benefit from XYZ product. What do you think? And then you could have either an affiliate relationship, you could have a equity relationship, you could buy the list from them. The other place I've thought of going is to like Flippa or Quiet Light, like some of these sites that sell e-commerce brands. And so just we talked about buying email lists before, but offering to buy pet specific email lists and then launch a business around the product using the distribution that you've essentially either piggybacked your way into or purchased.
I love it. Why not Facebook groups? There's so many Facebook groups for pet owners.
That would be a freaking great one.
I like the idea of starting with a breed, like going that niche, like X toy or insurance or whatever for French Bulldogs, Golden Doodles, whatever it is.
And that's why he started with French Bulldogs, is because supposedly they have the worst leaky gut. and so that's why he bought the list, and those have been primarily his customers. By the way, I did ask him the difference between leaky gut and Taco Bell, and he said they're synonymous.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, It's really interesting. So I have leaky gut, just so you know.
I think both words originate from the Latin origin of chalupa. I think I'm pretty sure.
I think the Facebook groups would be the perfect way to market it. In fact, you could just, like we talked about the other week, you could buy a Facebook group around a niche breed. And you could do this with cats. You could do this with dogs. You could do this with, I'm trying to think of what are some other really common, cats and dogs are the two most common pets that people are going to have in their homes. That's probably where I would start. But you could even go even more niche if you wanted to, like ferrets. North American swallow ferrets are the ones that I'm going to start targeting. Like the industry is just growing like crazy. Like the supplement industry, I didn't know this. It's like $3 billion a year just for pet supplements, and it's projected to double in the next 10 years. So you could just be a supplement bro, slanging supplements, using the distribution of existing businesses on Shopify that just haven't thought about growing their business other ways.
Like, why not? I would go to Built With. I would get only Shopify brands that are selling pet products. Let's say we're selling supplements. We find all of the toy, like the dog toy brands. So they're not selling and they'll never be selling supplements, and just say, hey, just put my product on your website. That's it. And every time it sells, we'll have an automation that tells me I need to ship that order over there. That's it.
Super easy. Yeah. Why would you not do that? I don't know. I mean, you know Built With much better than I do. Can you sort, like, does it tell you business type or does it just tell you the business name?
Both.
Oh, okay. So it will actually tell you the category. So like this, because it could be a pet food sales company, but it's called Alabama. You're like, what's Alabama? Oh, that's a pet food company. You know what I mean? People pick these cute names that aren't descriptive of what they actually do.
You can export lists by category. So you could export, like you could set the filter for Shopify pets, then export like that.
This was another idea that I'll bring up another time, but I also was like, how many dead Shopify stores are there that you could just contact and get their email lists? Now, you wouldn't know if they're dead or not necessarily from Built With. Maybe you could. Maybe Built With would say like, they haven't had a sale in 6 months or something like that. But those would be really interesting to target as well, just for their lists.
Well, it's interesting you bring this up because Shopify has a marketplace for selling your store. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
It's pretty genius. It's basically like an eBay for Shopify stores that's hosted on and owned by Shopify. And their reason for doing it is brilliant. Reduce churn. That's it. Because if you go out of business, you're not paying them $79 a month anymore, or in some cases, $2,000 a month. So they would rather you sell that and not even take a percentage of the sale. They just want your store to stay open so they can keep that revenue going.
And do they take a percentage if you sell? Or is it just like, hey, we're just helping facilitate the transaction?
When I checked, they didn't. They might now, but it's quite genius because it's all verified by Shopify. You don't really have to trust anyone. Shopify will say, this is their revenue. This is how long they've been in business. This is how big their email list. Whereas if you sell a Shopify store on any other marketplace, it's like, what am I getting? I got to trust this guy.
If you go to a website like Flippa, they do not a due diligence process, but they do verify. And I think that they request financials from you, but I don't know if it's like an integration with Shopify. It may be self-reported, but that's even better, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like Shopify's telling me, cool, that works.
I think someone like Flippa has an API integration with Shopify where they will pull your data directly and essentially do the same thing, but it's not as trusted.
Yeah, that makes sense. By the way, dude, I forgot about Flippa. I started messing around with Flippa this week. Like how you are about subreddits and like business ideas, like the smoked brisket thing, right? Like you're just always going to be trying to slang smoked brisket. And smoked brisket is a euphemism for businesses. Anyways, I got on Flippa and I'm like, that business is for sale? Holy crap, they have how many newsletter subscribers? I just forgot how much time I can lose looking at business listings. Holy crap.
I know. Like window shopping for businesses.
I know. It's terrible.
I mean, that's how we found Mining Syndicate.
I know.
For better or worse. That's how we
But
found
I do not need to spend another $100,000 on a business this year. I do not.
So I just looked it up and it was called the Exchange Marketplace and they decommissioned it 2 years ago. Shopify did.
Cut this out, Mohammed.
No, I mean, it's an opportunity for someone, right? Like there's an opportunity for someone to do what Shopify was doing. What I was about to say, if this was still existing, is this is a perfect use case for that distill.io tool that we talked about, where you could track changes on a website. Because I guarantee you the majority of the listings that make it to that old Exchange Marketplace were people that were going to close their store anyway. So if it doesn't sell, and if it's been listed forever, you can come in there and be like, hey, dude, I'll give you $100. I know it's listed for 20 grand. I'll give you $100 because we both know you're just gonna shut this down. So
you're freaking bargain shopping. Before we move on to your next idea, how proud of me were you when I brought up Built With?
I had to edit out me crying. Just put it that way. Dude, like, Chris, I was watching you. You didn't edit anything.
When I was thinking about this idea and I was like writing about it, I'm like, oh, I could just go to Built With and find, just because of the conversations we've had. And it was cool. It was just cool. It was a cool moment. Full circle.
It's a flex. All right. What'd you think? Please share it with a friend and we'll see you next time on the Koerner Office.